The pre-rut is my favorite time to hunt. Things are slowly starting to ramp up to that peak rut, which can get a little weird if you're not in the right spots. That's when people start experiencing that lockdown phase, when they're not in the right spots to see that action. But during the pre-rut, bucks are just running wild, trying to find that first receptive doe. Their movements are still pretty widespread. They're not focused down like they are in the peak rut. So your chances of having a mature buck run across your stand go up as the pre-rut goes on. Plus, you haven't been beat down by a bunch of bad sits, so your optimism is still pretty high. But even with the magic of the pre-rut, you can still struggle a lot if you don't know what you're doing or you're not in the right areas. Or maybe you are seeing deer, but they're all the younger bucks or the young does, and it's just not what you're after. Well, in this video, we're going to go over 3 tips to hunting the pre-rut so you don't miss the action and you get closer to your target bucks. But before we go over these tips, do me a favor, and if this is your first time on my channel, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And the first tip to hunting the pre-rut is you have to find those good bedding areas. Bedding cover is going to be key as the rut starts to ramp up because bucks are going to be cruising these areas looking for that first receptive doe. Just like they are in the peak rut, which means that you don't want to get too aggressive too soon because you can mess this area up for the rest of the year. Now don't go in these bedding areas just yet. Set yourself up to where you strike that balance, where you're close enough that you're still in the game, but you're far enough away that you're not alerting these deer. If you bump a buck, once, it's probably not that big of a deal depending on how you bump it and how he runs away. But if you're repeatedly going in there, bumping that deer, he's just gone. That particular buck is not going to come back, at least for a good while. Set yourself up on the trails and pinch points around the bedding areas, or especially between bedding areas and food sources. If you can find that perfect setup where your wind is perpendicular to the bedding area, to the trail, and to the food source, you better hunt it. Most of the time, we don't get this perfect wind setup. We have to try to thread that needle where the scent's not quite perfect, but it can work if it's this specific wind direction. Now, if I absolutely have to, and it's the afternoon, I will sacrifice the food source to hunt that area. If I know that the buck I'm after is using this bedding area and I'm fairly certain he's going to walk this trail in front of me, I will let my scent blow closer to that food source. But the big key is don't let it go across that trail or down into the bedding area. Food source is okay in the afternoon, but try to thread that needle. And the second tip to hunting the pre-rut is look for secluded scrapes. Seeing a fresh scrape out in the woods in October is a great sign, but where that scrape is located matters quite a bit. A single scrape or a couple of scrapes along a food plot or along the main trail that sees a lot of heavy use is most likely going to be frequented by a lot of young bucks and some does, or mostly just at night. But if you find a couple of scrapes next to some secluded cover, that's where you want to be. But once you find these potential hotspots, don't hunt them stupidly. Obviously, hunt on the downwind side of them. Make sure your access to them is almost bulletproof. And don't get too close to them. Not only is really close shots going to make your shots harder, but you're more likely to spook anything that's coming to visit it. Set up at least 20 yards away from that scrape, maybe even closer to 30, and make sure that your access is almost bulletproof. The reason that buck is there is because he's undisturbed, whether that's from other deer or that's from other hunters. If you go in there and you disturb him once, you might be able to salvage a season after you back off a little bit, give it some time to kind of settle down. But if you repeatedly bump him, repeatedly disturb him, he's probably gone for good. Good wind, good access, good scent control, and good weather conditions is how you're going to be successful hunting over a scrape during the pre-rut. And the third tip for hunting the pre-rut is hunt the does. If you're having trouble finding the bedding areas, finding the secluded scrapes, or maybe you're just short on time, the best or fastest way to get in on the action is to find out where the does like to spend their time. Does are what's on bucks' minds during the pre-ruts. Like I said, they're looking for that first receptive doe. And lucky for us, does can be pretty patternable. And once you find those does, if you're paying attention, what you will find is you'll probably find those bedding areas, or you'll at least find the trails leading to and from those bedding areas. You can simply hunt over these trails or find the pinch points on these trails and have a good amount of success, or you can take it a step further and find out where the trails lead to. That will give you both pieces of the puzzle. You'll find the bedding and you'll find the food sources, which is only going to help you as the season goes on. So that was 3 tips for hunting the pre-rut. If you have any more pre-rut hunting tips, make sure you leave those down in the comments below. You never know who you might help. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.